take the clothes off my back and I let you.
What's up, man?
You'd steal the food right out my mouth and I'd watch you eat it. I still don't know why.
Back.
Why I love you so much.
Welcome to Abbey Road Studios. This is, in my opinion, the most famous studio in the world.
Yeah, I was thinking it was this, and then Rock the Mic.
Yeah, that's right.
Big drop off, but
well, that's true. But wherever you get the job done. But you know, some great jobs were done in here.
Right.
And the Beatles did Revolver in here. I think there was some Pink Floyd going on in here. Lady Gaga added her vibe in here.
Right.
You can still smell that. It's still here. If you never recorded in here, you never done anything.
No, I've never. No.
Do you like recording studios though? When you think about it, apart from what you get out of them, do you like the environment of being in them as a place?
I've always been in like studios with great vibes. You know, Rock the Mic had a great vibe. We had Justin, Kanye, like that studio had just been built. Wait, I'm wrong. That's the first one. Baseline. That studio had just been built when that Blueprint album happened. So we had Justin. It was 2 rooms. We had this little room. Just was in a little room, and I was in the main room. And then Kanye was in that room, and it was just like, you know, Kanye would put up a track, and then just to come in here, go back in his little room, and then he'd come back.
I'm gonna get beaten like that.
Yeah, then he'd come back with girls,
yeah.
and you know, song cry, and it was like these amazing songs coming out of this studio. And
that's just inspiration.
During that whole time, if you think of the records that came out during that,
yeah.
It was Blueprint, and it was Rock the Mic with Beans and Freeway. Then it was Old Boy with Cameron, and all that came from that one time. The Freeways album, which Flip Side and all that stuff.
That was a huge part of the foundation of Rock Nation. That time, that few years was like.
Well, that started everything right there.
I mean, I always think artists get bursts of blue flame, and then if you can maintain and you make music when you're inspired, you get it right. But there's always a burst of blue flame for a few years where you're prolific, and everything just feels like it's good.
Yeah.
Do you think that was kind of it for you at that time when it was like 3 or 4 years of just everyone firing in a really condensed time?
Because it takes a lot of it takes more than just, you know, you can write the greatest songs in the world if you don't have the producers in that same zone. You know, everyone has to align at the same time, and that's difficult. You know, sometimes you're writing you know, greater things than the producers coming up with, and sometimes the producers just, you know, carrying the day. So, you know, in those rare times when everything aligns, that's when it's like just those magic moments. Like I said, that Blueprint album, it was the magic moment. And I've made other, you know, classic records during different times, but that time was when everyone was like pretty much in the same space.
And you can hear it, and look what happened to the people involved as well. I mean,
and then you see like all the careers that was just. And
now it's like, can I get Justin 3 weeks? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Look what you created.
yeah, very true.
So, you know, you went into the studio and you started making a new record. When did you start Magna Carta Holy Grail? I mean, I know it didn't begin like a normal record in the sense that like we're going to book a time and make a record. It just happened organically. But approximately when did that spark kick off?
What happened was I had 2 records at the end of. We had this whole plan when me and Kanye did Watch the Throne album, that we would go right into our solos after that. And as soon as I thought we had wrapped up Watch the Throne, I made 2 records. I had 2 records. I had Holy Grail and I had Oceans. And no lyrics on Holy Grail, and I recorded Ocean. And I played those records for Kanye, and he was like, no, those have to go on Watch the Throne. So we spent 4 days arguing about those records, and I was explaining to him why it wasn't right for this project and why this is. I had a whole idea of making this album called Magna Carta, and Holy Grail, the name came later.
And it took you 4 days to explain that to Kanye.
4 days.
He's
4
a
days,
nightmare.
literally arguing 4 days. But and you know, not like fighting. Well, it was some pushing at one point, but not between us.
Right.
Just everyone else got a little excited. But it was just really in the creative spirit, like trying to make the best thing. We was at this place, and then we was like, man, we have to make sure this Throne album is amazing. So I was like, you know what? Instead of let's just call in Frank and let's call in Dream, who were both part of Dream. Wrote on Holy Grail, and Frank did the hook on Oceans. You'll see where I'm going now. That's how we got the record No Church in the Wild. We brought Frank in and Dream.
Wow.
Frank, we got No Church in the Wild.
Just blew my mind just then. Let me just. Okay,
we got So No Church in the Wild and Made in America from those sessions.
Right. So you basically replaced those two songs with two others, and then went, here you go.
Yes.
Now we're good.
Yeah.
We're even.
And so then I held those records, and then you know, life happened and things got in the way, and then we went on tour, and it's like just everything started getting pushed back. And then I didn't really have any plans of making an album or whatever. Then I did these Brooklyn shows, and me and Timbaland hooked up again, and then B was doing her album. And then Tim, so me and Tim start clicking again. I was like, hey man, B's doing our album. Why don't you come work with B? He came to New York. He started working with B. I was in the studio. And then he was like, man, I got this one track. And he played Picasso Baby. This came through the speakers.
What are you thinking when you hear this?
I was like, what is that? Because it's not really like a Timbaland specific track.
No, it doesn't sound too Timbo at all to me.
So
it's almost Just Blaze in a weird way. It's got that kind of classic sample vibe.
And then I was like, okay. And that pretty much built the sound of it. If you listen to this album, like there's a lot of '90s references and sound, like from Mace to Juvenile to even the beat on Part 2. It sounds like it could have been some. I can't really deal with that.
Hold up.
Go to
Let me get Part 2 hooked
Part
up
2.
for you. Part 2 reminds me a little bit of.
It could have been like one of those lakeside records or.
Hang on, let me get this moving. Here we go. This reminds me of
sound.
This reminds me of Jam and Lewis though, when the piano.
Yeah, that
you know what I mean?
again, once again, yeah.
Oof, it's so cool.
Yeah, I came really late too. So that pretty much set the sound. I wanted like a New York minimalist sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you look besides Holy Grail, and I say this song, and they're not huge hooks on it. There's like Picasso Baby, Picasso, like in the vein of Slick Rick.
No, but it's true. When you look at Blueprint 3, your last real original record apart from Throne, there was so much ambition going into those individual tracks. Every track was just like, it existed in its own right. This one feels like the album takes you on this flow all the way through.
Yeah, just strip down those songs and just, real minimalist approach to it, and then a whole 90s feel.
I love that. You got interludes. I mean, you got 45, 50-second tracks in there, which is amazing. I can't remember the last time I heard you do like 50 seconds of a track. When it ended, I was like, what's wrong with my player?
Yeah, that was like 97. That was circa 97, where me and Timbaland would just switch the track up, and then, or even Primo. Those early Primo tracks when we did like 1,000,001 and then had those things.
That's the other thing about Picasso is it's got that kind of Primo vibe to it as well, with the little effects that roll through. What's the other one that kind of feel? I may be getting ahead of my curve here. Is it?
We can go anywhere.
Hang on, check this out.
Like a freestyle.
Is it this one here? Reminds me of BDP.
Yeah.
Reminds me of KRS.
Yeah. We did that freehand. I should send you the clip of it so you can play it on here.
Yeah.
We did it. We actually did Open Letter that day.
Yeah.
And everyone was excited how Open Letter is not on there.
Oh yeah, 17, right?
That's for the vinyl. So we did Open Letter, and we were really excited about how it was coming out, and then Timbaland and Switch just like a table just like this, got on each side of the table in front of their drum machines, and they just was like, let's go. And this was like, Switch was hitting that, and then Timbaland was like,
sick. Sick. It's done in 5 minutes. Done. Wrap it. Amazing. And that's it. And then you pay respects in the perfect amount of time. And was it clock in at like 52 seconds? It's a lovely moment, isn't it? Why shouldn't it make it onto the record?
Like nice little flavors in there.
So what happened, man? With Timbaland, he's been really honest. He came out recently in an interview on Life and Times on your website, and he was like, I overstepped the mark. I kind of lost my way a little bit. So, what happened? I mean, I think no one really thought about it until you got back together. Right. I mean, I didn't really think like, why is Timbaland not working with Jay-Z anymore? I have those classic records.
Yeah, that's because he was still on Blueprint 3. Right. But the fallout happened at the end of that album. Right. It really happened at the way the album happened, and a couple songs was getting leaked, and that was his songs. Yeah. And it was like that whole thing was just like, it just ruined the whole process. Yeah. And even I wanted him and Kanye to produce. And Kanye, who was the executive producer of Blueprint 3, was like, yo, let's get Tim. Let's bring Tim in. And we were all inviting to him, and he just wasn't accepting of the process. And it was like, seemed like it was more about him than the actual album. You know, when you go in and you make an album, it's not, you have to put all ego aside. I'm putting ego aside. Everyone has to put ego aside for the sake of the project. And he wasn't accepting of that thing. And it was that we were all, you know, and that was almost like the last straw type of thing. So we was like, you know, we just went our separate ways. And you know, after those concerts and he came back, I'd seen the new Timbaland, and he had this maturity and this growth that I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna work out, you know. And now we just like,
yeah, look what you guys have made together. I mean, it's like not only are you back working together, I mean, he's across the whole record. Yeah, that's mad. I think I was speaking to James. I mean, we talk about this now, you know, because I know James, mutual friend who you work with on the Gatsby thing, and he said, you know, off the record, I think Tim's doing a lot of the record. And then I was like, well, that's interesting because I haven't seen Tim like in public for a long time, like working together for a long time, and that really immediately piqued my interest.
And we never really worked on a project together. We did like songs, you know. We would be able to go in and get like Dirt Off Your Shoulder, or Big Pimp, and all these big songs, but we never was able to. We didn't have the chemistry to do a project together, you know. So
where did you make it? Because the studio that you recorded those little intermittent kind of, you know, videos in looked amazing, like up high overlooking New York. Tell us about this place?
It's called Jungle Studios. It's owned by the Swiss and Alicia Keys.
Crazy.
I never know how to say their names. Alicia Keys and Swiss.
Always ladies first.
Yeah,
always
Alicia Keys first. And Swiss.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Alicia Beats and Swiss Keys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it a fun record to make?
Yeah, it was, because what was happening was, you know, B was doing an album, then Justin is working on the second half of his album in the other room, so everyone was just running in
same spot.
Yeah, everyone's running in each other's room and adding things and adding songs and adding sounds. You know, there's songs where Justin is just doing ad-libs on like, just like, yo, you should just say, oh, right here. Oh, I'm like, you do it. And you go, you know, that BBC song happened in the night. It wasn't planned to happen. We didn't plan on it to happen. The great, how life works is, it was Pharrell's 10th anniversary of BBC. Yeah. We went to the dinner. We hung out to dinner. Nico, who was just in the front of there, was there to honor Pharrell. We left from the dinner, went to the studio, and we got Nico, Pharrell, me, B. Justin was next door doing the thing. Justin walks in. Tim was meeting Nas. So Nas walks in, and I'm like, diaries, yo, what you doing here?
No assistants, no managers.
Yeah, he comes in the room. So now we got 7 people, and we're around this console right here. And I have to sing out that footage as well. And I say, if we don't make a record tonight, shame on us.
Yeah.
And
we can socialize anytime you want, but right now we have a duty to get this down, right? And you can hear it though.
Yeah, and it's just, you just hear the fun. And the session was just like this party, you know?
Nice, man. Nas coming straight out the gate as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. That's such a good part of the story. Not to veer off the album for a second, but I just love that, you know. You guys gave us one of rap's most explosive beefs, and then you patched it up in a lovely way.
Yeah, it's like, it's a competitive sport.
It's really what it is.
You know, and it doesn't have to be anything like, it doesn't have to turn into a negative situation when you're grown and you're mature. You know, anytime that it turns into something else, it's pretty much just ego and pride talking. You know, and you let your ego take over, and of course things can go veer left and go strange really quickly because of the entourages around each camp. It's never really the guys. It's really the entourage, because they need to prove themselves, you know, worthy of the
paycheck.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about ego though, because you've always seemed to carry yourself in a pretty egoless way. I mean, you know, even in an art form like rap music, which began as and always has been in essence, if I'm better than you and I can prove it. But essentially, you know, you carry yourself in a very sort of humble kind of way, I think, you know, off stage and out of the studio. You keep yourself to yourself, you do your thing, and you know, you're very understated and you don't roll on with a big crew, and it's all very easy, and I'm always relaxed when I see you. It's not always the case with MCs or artists, you know. But what's your attitude? But you still roll in circles sometimes where ego plays a big part. I mean, whether it's producers or other rappers or this, that. What's your attitude towards the ego of others and how you know you relate to it?
Well, yeah, I started even in my beginning. You know, I just lived such a rich life. You know, a full life. You know that. You know, my first album came out. I was 26, and I had seen so many things in the street. So my attitude was like, man, I've seen so much, and you know, I don't have anything to prove. I know who I am. I'm a very self-aware person. You know, so when you're self-aware, even when you're dealing with someone's ego, you know when to allow it to, you allow their ego to live in its own space. You know, the problem is when you engage that energy, that's when there's a problem. If you engage the ego with your ego, then it's like, okay, now something has to happen. It could keep escalating to a level that can be irreversible. You know, but if you don't engage the ego, if you know how to manipulate or play around with the ego,
but that's weird in itself to people.
And you give light back to darkness,
right?
Know, it's very difficult.
People don't know how to take that, especially at a younger age. Now when they're a bit older, they can probably understand what you're doing. But if you're in a room and people are bringing all of that wild energy into a room, and you just take a step back into the shadow a little bit and just let them do that, they would almost take offense to it. Like, why are you playing along? Why aren't you getting involved in this? Did you have experiences like that where people thought, I don't know how to take Jay. I don't know how to deal with Jay. He doesn't engage with us on that level.
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, and a lot of times what that also can be, you can misinterpret that as you know, arrogance. You know,
in its own way.
If someone doesn't engage you in the way that you believe they should, then people's like, he's arrogant. He's act like he's above everybody. Like, no, I just don't want to argue with you about stupid shit. I just really don't have time to argue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.